My name's Edward Rowe, otherwise known as the Kernow King. I was described last week as a professional Cornishman, like that. Now I'm up here today, back in my old haunt in mid-Cornwall, and I'm in Indian Queens to meet up with Dick Cole, leader of Mebyon Kernow, local councillor for St Eneder Parish, and prospective parliamentary candidate for Mebyon Kernow. So come with me, let's have a little chat with Dick. Hello, Dick.
Hello, Ed, you right?
Yeah, well, mate. So, Dick, we're up in your parish, St Eneder Parish. We've come up
in
today.
Queen's Pit.
And what a stunning pit it is.
Handsome.
Best looking pit in Cornwall. So we're up here today, just come up to find out a bit more about you, a bit more about MK. So you're currently councillor for St Eneder?
Yeah, I'm a Cornwall councillor for St Eneder Parish, which covers Indian Queen, St Callum Road, Fradden, Somercourt and the surrounding areas. I've been doing that for 15 years and very pleased to be able to work for my local area, really. It's where my family's lived forever and ever, and it's really important to me.
So what's your biggest challenge up here?
I think you're from Clay Country as well, Ed, aren't you? And I think it's about making sure we get a fair deal for our area compared to the other parts of Cornwall. Certainly over the last few years, what's kept me going as a councillor is working with community groups, my parish council, and raising money through grants to get new things like play equipment for the children, extensions to village halls, and even new community buildings. And to be honest, I'm really proud of the fact that in my time as a councillor, I've personally got grants of over £500,000 from my local parish, and it's
fantastic.
It's what makes the job really worthwhile when you see your community improving.
So currently councillor for St Eneder, and now you're running for MP for St Austell Newquay. Bit of a tough challenge.
It is a tough challenge. Obviously, Mebyon Kernow is a local party. We don't get as much time on the media as the large Westminster parties, but we're working really, really hard. I think we've got to have a local party that can put an alternative to the Westminster, the Westminster establishment, who really don't know where Cornwall is, and they certainly don't do what's right for us. That's why we've had years of underfunding. It's why our economic performance is only 2/3 of the UK average, and why most local people are on lower wages than elsewhere in the country, and that needs to be addressed.
There's quite a bit of confusion, I think, between devolution and independence, isn't there?
Oh yes.
Which is frustrating. I imagine I find that frustrating. I'm sure you find that frustrating, because
totally.
You guys aren't about independence from Cornwall, are you?
No, we're campaigning for devolution to Cornwall. We want a Cornish Assembly, so all the important key decisions about our futures are taken in Cornwall, not in Westminster by people who really don't understand Cornwall and don't have our best interests at heart.
So devolution would essentially mean somewhere in Cornwall, people could make better decisions about Cornwall. So that could include developments, housing numbers, stadiums, anything. Anything and everything.
Anything and everything. I mean, we're not asking to have control of things such as defence, but let's decide what happens in Cornwall. All the, if you like, internal decisions for Cornwall should be made in Cornwall by local politicians directly elected by the people of Cornwall.
So Dick, you and I were up at Brannell School a couple of weeks back. We were up there with fantastic, wonderful school. We were up there with, there was yourself, there was the Conservatives, the Lib Dems, the Labours, and the Green Party, and we had a great debate with the youngsters up there, years 7, 8 and 9, and when it came to the end, I asked the youngsters who would they vote for, and what was really interesting that day, you won quite clearly, didn't you, with those youngsters. Why do you think that was the case?
I mean, I hope it was because what I said was actually positive, and it was about building a future for Cornwall that they could actually see for their own futures, because I think at the beginning, a lot of those, when they did the show of hands, didn't they, saying how many of you were looking to move away from Cornwall, and it was a lot of young people. And I think if you've got politicians who are actually looking to build a future for Cornwall with better education, better jobs, and actually taking the decisions locally, I'm really pleased that the youngsters actually said, yeah, that is something that we'd like to support. And I mean, that was really heartening as part of our campaign.
I think the thing I learned at Brannell that day was that all those politicians there that day, they have got Cornwall in their hearts. They do care about Cornwall. But the risk is you vote for one of the big parties, again, we're going to have another 5 years of decisions from London being made and told what to do and when to do it and where to put it, which I think people are getting fed up with. Do you hear people saying that to you in your parish?
I do indeed, because people want things decided locally. those MPs that are local may actually vote against the government when it's in Cornwall's best interest. But what you have to see is what do all their colleagues do from the rest of the UK. And there have been certain things in this last Parliament, such as the Devonmore constituency, where the local MP said it's not a good idea, but 95% of their coalition allies voted for it. You know, so where's the influence if they can't even persuade their allies to do what's in Cornwall's best interests? You know, and getting MK in the heart of Westminster, that would really shake up the system.
So what would that mean? That was going to be my next question. Say you won Snorstall, Newquay and all the surrounding, which is a big population in Cornwall.
Yep.
So MK were leading the way there. And say the Lib Dems and the Conservatives stayed in power in London. How would your relationship work with them?
I mean, if MK got MPs elected, we'd sit in a group that would include the Scottish National Party, Plaid Cymru. At the moment, they're anticipating that will be the third largest group in the Parliament. So they could, you know, they've been described as kingmakers, and they're certainly going to be in a position to actually have a lot of influence and also to get loads of concessions for the Celtic parts of the United Kingdom. If we're not there, I think Cornwall may lose out yet again.
So Dick, we're up here now, Clay Country. This is the heart of Cornwall for me and you, isn't it, really?
Absolutely.
My brother works up there, father and grandfather worked up there. I'm sure your family spent time up there as well.
Yeah, many generations of my family. That's Pines Tip over there.
Oh,
underneath that is the old Trewheeler Clay Works, and I've got a lovely photograph at home which has got me grandfather, his father, 4 of his brothers, all working in that one clay works, and it's all now under the tip there.
Go on. Airplane, windmill, clay tips. This is all going on up here.
I got something to show you. You're not going to like it, shall we?
Let's go have a look. Right, Dick, where are we heading off to here?
I just want to show you this incinerator that's being built very, very close to St Denis.
Blimey.
Terrible, isn't it?
Humongous. So, I'm guessing, as a proud Cornishman from this part of Cornwall, you weren't too keen on that.
No, I'm proud to say that I fought that for over a decade.
Yeah.
And when it went to the public inquiry, I actually produced a 33,000 word document arguing why it was inappropriate. And yet it still got rubber stamped, and it's happening because of a coalition minister who decided in London it's going to happen. And you know, that and what's happening in Cornwall, I mean, they're just destroying Cornwall with bad planning.
So, yeah, you're right, they are. And you know, that sort of thing wouldn't happen in some of the more desirable areas of Cornwall that are perceived by another population, the Foys, the Port Isaacs, the Lewes. I mean, that wouldn't appear around there, would it?
I mean, we know well, coming here from Clay Country, we get dumped on. It's totally unacceptable, and you know, that's one of the strong things I've been doing for many years, is trying to fight back for our area.
So if you got in power in mid-Cornwall, Snorstall, Newquay and surrounding, what would you do about things like this and other bigger developments?
Well, I think, I mean, you go to Newquay, you go to Bodmin, you go down west, you know, the amount of housing growth that's happening, and it's not happening because people need houses as such, it's happening because it's about profit more than anything else, because they're not delivering enough affordable housing.
No.
Whole thing's out of control. It's being dictated to by Westminster politicians. I say we need all decisions about planning in Cornwall, so that things like this aren't allowed to happen, so that we do the housing that people need, not just allow large developers to make mass profits. And you know, the whole thing needs to change, and I can't see any of the other, you know, the London parties actually getting to grips with it at all.
No, I can't see that either. I had a discussion with a chap in one of your rivals who kept saying it's about profit, and I said, why is it about profit? And he said, that's just the way it is. But that doesn't have to be the way it is anymore, does it? We can change these sort of things.
I mean,
people like you can change these things.
People have got to fight it, or else it'll be too late for Cornwall.
Yeah.
And I look at some of my opponents' literature, and they're saying on one hand, let's protect the countryside, and on the next page they're basically saying, let's free up the planning rules and regulations to make it easier for developers. You can't have it both ways.
No, and that I think leads us on to affordable homes as well, because that's a massive problem in Cornwall. How many affordable homes there actually are, and what actually is affordable to Cornwall, because we know Cornwall's one of the poorest regions in Europe, with humongous house prices, and we're kind of struggling to buy local people to buy their local homes.
You know, the housing market is totally dysfunctional. You know, the Thatcher sold off all the council houses. This present lot, they've took investment away from affordable housing. They've made it more expensive. So I've actually been in the position of trying to help people in my village who were refused affordable housing because they couldn't afford it. You couldn't make it up. Now they've just changed the planning rules so that developers don't have to do any affordable homes under a development of 10. They're just making it more and more difficult for communities and make it easier and easier for their developer friends to make a profit. And that's got to change, and hopefully people will get behind organisations like Mebyon Kernow that are actually saying, let's make the decisions locally and we can put Cornwall right, because it's not happening from London.
No. So Dick, we've come home to my village of Roach. We're sat under the beautiful Roach Rock. Roach is in front of us in the distance, and you know, Roach is a big village these days, much bigger than when I used to live here. It's thriving. But what would it take for someone from Roach or Bugle or Stenleys or St Ulster or Newquay? Why should they vote for MK?
Mebyon Kernow is very, very different from the London parties. Not only are we based here in Cornwall, but we have actually produced our policies for Cornwall. It's about local people deciding what's best for the local area, instead of having politicians in London having policies which actually suit London, the southeast of England, and a load of metropolitan focus groups. I would say to people in Cornwall, get behind your own party, vote for Cornwall, and say no more politics as usual, because it's failed Cornwall in the past and it will fail us again in the future.
So just to finish up, people need to register to vote.
They do.
They can do that online. They can find out more about MK at
www.mebyonkernow.org.
Fantastic. Dick Holt, thank you very much. Pleasure chatting to you, Dick.
And you, Ed.
See you soon. So there we are, MK. I hope that's made things a bit clearer for you guys at home. I think a vote for MK is a vote for Cornwall, and I think, you know what, I'm ready to see a change in Cornwall. I think it's time that Cornish people had a much louder and more powerful voice, and I think it's fair to say I'm gonna vote MK this year. Good luck.